So I did it across this side. I'm going to go ahead do the same thing across the other side. So there we go. This is looking pretty good on the inside. I'm going to cut it an inch above. Right here I'm going to go like this. You just kind of cut it however you can shape it around the bag. I'm just going to go for it on the machine. I'm going to go and sew back over it. Keep all this stuff down. Just going to fold it around. Still not adding the top layer of fabric in. Here's this edge. So there we are, along the edges with that. Now we don't want all of this poking through on the other side, so I'm going to cut the edges off of this. I'm going to insert this magnetic snap. I'm just going to do a little break in the fabric, and then it should be able to press itself the rest of the way through. Just pressing through where I made those little tears. And then it's got this little metal back piece. I'm going to stick that on as well. Make sure I've got that in there really good and tight. I'm just going to use the back of my scissors to kind of press that in. Looks pretty good. Now we're going to take the opportunity while this is still open to be able to have our hand in there while we sew this big rose on the front. So here's the rose, Rosette, the cinnamon bun as my husband calls it. So I'm just going to put it on there and I'm going to pin it down. So I've only got like 3 pins in here. I've got my needle. I'm going to start right in the center. So I'm just going to go in there and get a really good hook under that pin. Okay, so I've turned it so that the rose is on the inside and then this is here, so I can just stick my hand up under the rose. I've just been doing my pinwheel all the way around it. So I'm really trying to get a good grip on that flower when I go underneath, but not go all the way through so that my stitch would be seen on top of the flower. Alright, so there's our pretty rose on the front, and I feel like I've gotten that on pretty good. Just kind of pull it, make sure everything is the way it should be. So it has suddenly become very important for me to finish this bag. It is my cousin's wedding tomorrow, and I want to wear this dress, this bag, and these heels to the wedding. So I'm going to talk to you about making this handle. The thing I'm going to show you is this. This is tubing, so you just kind of, I don't know where you can buy this, I just had some. So anyway, you just maybe would go to a plumbing store, just anywhere where you can find a good stiff tube that has a hole in it. And you can wrap it with whatever you want. There's also this leather stuff, and this isn't a very great color, but you could wrap. And you just wrap and glue around the tubing. You see there, you can do that. These beads happen to fit over the top of these other beads right here. So I'm going to put those just like that. And then I've got this ribbon, and then I have cut it on an angle and wrapped it with tape so that it can go through the beads nicely. So I've set them up the way that I want them. A small bead. And then I'm going to do a bigger bead. And then these 2 beads are doubled, so I'm only going to choose one of them and come back for the other guy later. So we're going to skip that doubled bead and we're going to go for the big one, and we're going to go for the small one. And then for this part, where our little trip through the hose, this is a wire hanger that I cut, and then I bent it so that it had this little loop. So I'm just going to stick my ribbon through that loop, and I'm going to send it through this hose. Here we are. Okay, and we're going to follow our way back down. So the big bead is there already. We had a small bead on that side, so we're going to go small bead on this side, larger bead, and then the medium bead, which gets doubled. We're going to skip that doubled bead, and then we're going to come down through here. I want another big bead, and then this bead. I'm going to thread the ribbon through the O-ring, and you got to make sure that you have enough ribbon to go all the way back through. Go back through this guy, and up through here. Now this is the part where we double the bead. I've got a mess going on here. It's alright, it's kind of how I do my projects. I just do them and then I realize I'm like, oh, I guess I had stuff going on, like a lot of stuff that I could have cleared. I finally notice when the stuff starts getting in my way. Pull it up through this smaller bead, just lace it right back through all of these beads that you've done before. Here's my double bead again. Oh, mistake. So I'm going to stick this through this bead, add it to this other bead. Through the big bead. Through the small bead. I'm going to cut it on that angle. And this time, both of these ribbons, I'm just going to pull them right together, stick it through the O-ring, and we're going to go up through this bead. Tight, tight, tight. And then this is where we take these ribbons, tie a knot. And you do this while you're still pulling tight. Here, we're just going to pull it so it kind of goes right under those beads. So we did it once, and then I'm going to take these guys, like this, pull them like that, and I'm just going to do a regular average knot. And then over on this side. So on this side, I'm going to do a square knot. So the knot one way, right over left, and then left over right, sort of thing. Yeah, and that's feeling good and tight. And then at this point, you cut them off and cut them close. Let me tell you about what I'm going to do next. I'm actually not going to show you this part, I'm just going to tell you. For this part, I am going to get a lighter and I'm going to burn the ends of these all the way off, and then I'm going to get a needle and thread and go in there and sew through the center of that knot a couple times, and then make sure that it wants to stay there for good, forever.